Welcome to this lesson on literature. To carry on our project on horror stories, we're going to read M.R. James's Old Whistle, and I'll come to you, my lad. M.R. James's work as a medieval scholar remains highly respected. Indeed, the success of his stories was founded on his antiquarian talent and knowledge. For example, his discovery of a manuscript fragment led to excavations in the ruins of the abbey at Bury St. Edmunds in 1902, in which the graves of several 12th century monks were rediscovered, having been lost since the 1530s. M.R. James was a type of academic Indiana Jones. His most famous books are Ghost Stories of an Antiquary from 1904, More Ghost Stories of an Antiquary from 1911, A Thin Ghost and Others from 1919, A Warning to the Curious and Other Stories from 1925. It's important to point out that M.R. James was writing during the First World War, okay? Many of the tales that M.R. James wrote were produced as Christmas Eve entertainments and read aloud to friends. This idea was used by the BBC in the year 2000 when they filmed Christopher Lee reading 4 stories in a candlelit room in King's College. See, here are some of the roles played by the very famous horror actor, Christopher Lee. M.R. James was so good at writing that he created a subgenre of himself, Thea Jamesian tales. So, which are the features of the Jamesian tales? A setting in an English village, seaside town or country state, an ancient town in France, Denmark or Sweden, a venerable abbey or university. An ordinary gentleman scholar as a protagonist, often of a reserved nature. The discovery of an old book or other antiquarian object that somehow unlocks, calls down the wrath, or at least attracts the unwelcome attention of a supernatural menace, usually from beyond the grave. You will notice, by reading the story, they talk about the Knights Templar. It's the settings of the story you're going to read. So, endorsed by the Catholic Church around 1129, the order grew rapidly in membership and power. Templar Knights and their distinctive white mantles with a red cross were among the most skilled fighting units of the Crusades. They also innovated financial techniques that were an early form of banking and built fortifications across Europe and the Holy Land. However, rumors about the Templar's secret initiation ceremony created mistrust, and in 1307, many of the order's members were arrested, tortured into giving false confessions, and then burned at stake. Remember the quiz you've already done? We are talking about the Vatican looking for witches. So, what are the main themes of Old Whistle and I'll Come to You, my lad? Obviously, to begin with, we're talking about skepticism. It refers to any questioning attitude towards knowledge, facts, or beliefs stated as facts, or doubt regarding claims that are taken for granted elsewhere. Most scientists, being scientific skeptics, test the reliability of certain kinds of claims by subjecting them to a systematic investigation using some form of the scientific method. As a result, a number of claims are considered pseudoscience if they are found to improperly apply or ignore the fundamental aspects of the scientific method. This is also present in Thea James's work. As we know it, haunted objects is another theme of the story. Haunted objects have long been used as subject for many horror films and other stories, such as those you see on the video. In our particular case, we are dealing with haunted objects. Some people claim they actually exist. Here are a few inanimate objects that might just be a little more animated than we think. Have you ever heard of Robert the doll? Robert has been around since 1896 and belonged to a little boy who always chats at his door. But servants and family members said Robert the doll often talked back. These days, Robert resides at the Martello Gallery, Key West Art and Historical Museum. If you want a picture of him, you have to ask. A slightly tilt of his head means yes. If you don't get the tilt and take a picture anyway, beware, Robert will curse you. Maybe another more famous example of a haunted object is the haunted mirror at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. See, even though Marilyn Monroe has been dead for 50 years, you can still see her at the Hollywood Roosevelt. Marilyn lived at the Roosevelt and especially loved Suite 1200. At some point, when the housekeeper was cleaning it one day, she got quite a fright. A beautiful blonde woman was staring right back at her. The Roosevelt moved the mirror to a public area so guests could experience Miss Monroe as well. And supposedly, they have.